Are you going live?
We should be live. Welcome to Talking Investing with Tom and George.
George and Tom.
And
Why do you always do that to me? Why do you put me second? I'm not second, I'm first.
I was going in reverse alphabetical order, as everybody always does with everything.
The alphabet. So, what's Bitcoin at right now, by the way?
Bitcoin is at almost exactly what it was at yesterday at the end of
That doesn't mean it's
market.
bad. It just didn't go anywhere.
Yeah, this was a total sideways day, but not for the Bitcoin miners, but for Bitcoin. Hello everybody. Hello.
So, do you mean the market was
Gary.
sideways too?
The what?
You think the market was sideways too?
Yeah, the market was a little bit green. The Nasdaq was down a little bit, but the market was green. Let's go look at the. Hold on, let me refresh and make sure this is the final numbers. Green. Nasdaq got to 0.01% in the green. So, yeah, I mean, it was an up day in the market, a modest up day in the market, but I will say on all of my small cap high growth watch lists, it was not a good day. So I think some of the big stocks did just fine, and as usual, the small stocks took a beating. Hello, Sour Melon Gaming. Hello, Eric.
What'd you say? Who, gaming?
Sour Melon Gaming.
I don't know them.
They're with us every week.
I don't know them.
Well,
Never heard of them. What do they game?
you have to ask. The pain will never end. Bitfarms is at 65 cents, said Sour Melon Gaming. It's absolutely unbelievable that it's at 65 cents. There's some stuff at all-time lows right now that is blowing my mind.
We're going to see how many people have Discord, by the way. You know why I say that, right? Because of the message.
Oh, yeah. All right, I'm going to put a poll up early this time.
And so I'll give my answer. I might have to leave early, by the way, Tom.
You going to give your answer before I put the poll up?
No. I'm just saying I might have to leave early.
Yeah, okay. Well,
because I got those guys coming in from Atlanta to do that work.
That's right. Well, you can join us for as long as you can and go when you got to go.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
All right, poll should be up. So the poll is Bitcoin going up or down by the end of the year? And the potential answers are down under 14 or up over 20. So if you think it's going to be in the middle, you don't get a choice.
Answer in. Should have put another answer like, I don't want to say that. You just should have put another one in. That's
under
all.
5?
No, just like one like ridiculous. Like a ridiculous answer.
70,000
like,
all-time high.
Is Sam Friedman whatever gay or something? Like they should have done that. I bet you that would have won.
Oh, that would have been the third answer.
Yeah, something just stupid. You know what I mean?
Gary is pointing out, and thank you, Gary. I did notice this today. This is Marathon's market cap is only $126 million more than Riot. It's getting close. Yeah, that is very interesting.
So how much did it go down, Tom?
They're Marathon's under $1 billion now, and I mean they were substantially apart. I think at one point they may have been as much as $500 million apart. They really should never have been, but they were.
Did anybody short it?
Anybody on the stream short? All right, Tom, we need to talk. I'm down 4,000 US dollars on $10,000 on Bitfarms. Hut, what do you think? Well, the only thing that I can say is I still have all my Bitfarms and I still have all my Hut, and I did add to my HUT position this week. So did anybody else buy HUT? So there were 3 companies that were just crushing all the other Bitcoin miners. It was Marathon, Riot, and HUT. And they finally pretty much got to those, and HUT is now at new lows. So I never thought that was going to happen. So I did add to my HUT.
I am back in the miners.
Ah, yes.
Bitcoin miners I'm into.
Hey, Darren.
I went nuts.
Hey, JJT.
And I finally
hey, Jeff.
I'm not saying it's the bottom, but I think we're closer to the bottom than the top.
You're
not financial advice. Do what you want with your own money.
Opinions.
Or give it to me.
This week has been an S show. They now talk about Grayscale getting liquidated. They hold 600,000 Bitcoin. I heard talk about that, and that seems like nonsense just based on the way that works. I think that's just pure, in my opinion. I haven't done a deep dive on it. I think that's just absolute FUD.
What?
Grayscale. Grayscale is a trust, so they have the Bitcoin. I don't understand how they could get liquidated. And again, I have not done a deep dive on this, but to me, common sense would say that can't happen. But I did hear a lot of people talking about that.
So they're trying to say they don't have their Bitcoin?
Well, if they're getting liquidated, they've leveraged up in some way. Or, yeah, borrowed money against, whatever the case may be. But they have no reason. They're very... I can't... Listen, I don't work for them, so I don't know. But if I had to guess, I would say that is not reality. Happy Friday, Darren. Colton's asking, you know me? You know me, right, George? Right? Colton?
Hang on, my dogs are barking.
JJT said, welcome back in XRP George. Jeff said, hey Jeff. I'm going to go back to the real chart. So once again today, we got the Bitcoin miners got beat up. It was a green day in the market. And the small cap high growth stocks, it wasn't just the Bitcoin miners, although a few of these got wrecked. But the small cap high growth stuff is getting beat up again. You know, it wasn't a it looked like it was going to be a really good day first thing this morning. And then it turned around. But you can see, I mean, you guys let me know which one you want to talk about. But GREE was down. GREE, have you seen my GREE video? So if you haven't, I would recommend watching that video. GREE was down almost 12% today. Wolf was down 14% today. Those are big moves down. Marathon was down 7%. So there you have Marathon and Riot getting a little bit closer, especially in market cap, not necessarily in price. But those are the only two. Everything else is at $2 or $1 or under $1. These have all turned into penny stocks. It's hard to imagine. All right, I'm just catching up on the live stream because right. Jeff saying shorting stocks is a part of prudent portfolio management. I'm not going to disagree with that, but I use put options. I don't actually short. I'm just too afraid to short. Martin saying I bought HUT 8 and Riot. So those are the two strongest balance sheets, period. In my opinion, I don't even think it's close. So, you know, if people are nervous down here at 16,000 and 17,000, those are the ones to buy. And Riot is down to $4.46. I think it got down to a low of $4.02 back in June, but I mean, it's almost all the way back down there. So that's at a ridiculously low number. HUT is just beneath what I think, you know, it was within one. It set a new low by a couple of cents. but I never expected to see it down there again. And then CleanSpark crushed their low. So I have been trying to be very patient. A big part of me just wants to jump in with another chunk, and I'm being systematic about this. That's my approach. You know, you guys do what you do, but I'm trying to be very systematic because this has lasted a lot longer than I ever imagined, and we don't know when it's over. Eric's saying, I don't short. Gareth is saying, hey, Tom and George, I pulled most of my money out last week. Good move. Wanting to come back in on all the miners. Such bargains. Yeah, well, listen, you picked the right week. If you skipped this week and you come back in, then that probably worked out very well for you.
I came back in today, and I've been out for 6 months, right?
You've been out for could be 6 months. You've been out for a long time.
Yep.
And George
I came back in today.
Came back in the market today. You want to tell them what you got?
I just bought 2. I bought CleanSpark and HUT.
CleanSpark.
I'm not saying I'm not saying it's the bottom, you know. But I think we're closer to the bottom than we are the top. And I think we're in for some fun under the sun.
By fun, you mean not fun?
No, I think fun.
Oh, okay.
I think if next week goes the way I anticipate it going, hang on, this could be the most incredible ride of your life if you're in crypto, or specifically Bitcoin.
Eric Brown saying he's nibbling the most ridiculous is Bitfarms. I mean, Bitfarms, yeah, it's 65 cents. I mean, come on.
Come on, man.
Come on, man. Gree is a stinker, said Eric.
Great.
I can't disagree with that. Crypto winter.
This is
Martin.
crypto hell. This ain't crypto winter.
Yeah, in a lot of ways, and if you've watched a couple of my recent videos, I believe this is the biggest bear market Bitcoin's ever had, and I don't even think it's close. If you look at the big picture of what's going on.
Yeah. But I think just remember this. I believe Bitcoin is a truth meter. Whatever that means to you, you determine what that means to you.
Interpret amongst yourselves.
Right. I think that is, you know, there's some universal value there. You know what I mean? There's a lot of universal value.
Well,
for everybody.
I think everybody knows where I stand on Bitcoin. I'm a semi-Bitcoin maximalist. I do think there's a cryptocurrency world out there, but I do think it will always be dominated by Bitcoin, in my opinion.
I don't think it'll be always dominated. Sorry, I don't agree with that.
No, I know. Hey, listen, everybody.
I know, right? I'm
has
not saying
different
you're
opinions.
right and I'm wrong, or I'm wrong and you're right, or however that goes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, there's no guarantees. I would have to see something major happen, and I don't know. I know the one that you think can threaten it, and that's about the only one, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah, I think yeah.
Darren saying, I have to wait another couple weeks for a big chunk of usable cash. And Eric saying, it's a full moon then?
Yep, the 23rd, baby. It's not a full moon, it's a new moon. A new moon is the time to go.
So Colton saying, I only own CleanSpark and HUT with a little bit of Bitfarms and cores. Well, that's 4. But it sounds like you have 2 majors.
What's up with Bitfarm? Why'd they get wrecked?
Hey, JD. Welcome. I mean, everything's gotten wrecked. They're still not behaving outside of the norm of all the rest of the Bitcoin miners. It's just the number is shockingly low. 65 cents is shocking to look at. but it's not down any more than Hut or Hive or Cleanspark or really any of them. In fact, a lot of them are down significantly worse than that. Just they're all down. I mean, this is a straight up. Tomorrow I will put my chart out of where I do how much we're down off of our August highs, and it's going to be a train wreck. JD says, right on, George. Welcome to the Bull Club again.
Thank you. Hang on 1 second, though. I'll be right back, guys.
$22,000 shares of Cleanspark, WIM. That's some conviction right there. Well, I hope you added a bunch of them recently, or you've been dollar cost averaging in as you go, because they're practically giving them away at this point. A quick update on the poll for those of you who haven't voted. First, wait, hold. If you have not... Oh, come on now. Like and subscribe. And let me know if you can still see me and George, because whatever button I just pressed seems like it did something wrong. All right, I think that'll work. Pardon my continuous technical incompetence. All right, let me catch back up. Oh, Colton says, what happens on the 23rd? I don't know. Who's that a question for? George or somebody in the chat? Gary is saying, Marathon's in trouble. And we could talk about that. I think that's something we should talk about on the stream today, because there is definitely a scenario where Marathon could be in a little bit of trouble. I don't know that it's game over type trouble, but they got themselves into something that just makes no sense to me at all. And it's, you know, if Bitcoin takes another leg down, they got a problem. Sour Melon Game is asking, Tom, do you still believe Bitfarms won't do a reverse split? I mean, I think they're not going to do a reverse split. And I'll tell you, is it out of the question? I have a lot less conviction in that than I did 2 months ago, but I still don't think they're going to have to do a reverse split. I believe that this entire area that we are trading in right now is we're at an unnaturally low point. This is not where Bitcoin belongs. This FTX situation was an external factor that just turned crypto upside down on its head. And sometimes this happens, and you can see, I'll go to the larger time frames, but, you know, sometimes it takes a month or two to straighten things out from one of these types of events. But this does not represent, I mean, these two candles, this is FTX, right? We were at 21,000, and we had been holding this line at 19,200 for 5 months. So I do not believe that coincidentally the collapse of FTX and Bitcoin happened at the same time. I think this is just a byproduct of the FTX situation, which is brutal, but I think it's you know, in my opinion, most of that pain is over, you know, except for those individuals that have lost money. Obviously, that hurts them a lot worse. But just as far as, I don't think this is some systemic breakdown of cryptocurrency. They just weren't big enough. I know they were one of the big players, but I think we've seen where the leaks are now, and you can see Bitcoin is having some sideways activity at this point. In my mind, this is some solid consolidation, right? Because it got down to 15.5, so we've been consolidating around 16.6. So we're off of those lows. I don't think we're going back to this low. The only caveat to that would be is if some other gigantic, you know, if all of a sudden Binance collapsed over the weekend. okay, well then now we got a whole nother world of pain we got to go through. So those possibilities always exist to set a lower low, but I'm just saying in the normal course of things, and those are temporary events. So things should straighten themselves out. I'm still hoping by the end of the year, although I will say I think my 30,000 end of the year prediction is not looking good. So I'm targeting, I got 22.5 and 25,000. I'd like to get that rally we've been looking for forever, and I think we can get it. Jeff is saying the bottom is when Marathon is gone. Well, that could be sooner than we think. George says it's a new moon. Eric's saying on the 23rd. Gareth is saying, can cores pull themselves out of this mess? My answer to that is maybe, because it's all about for all of these companies that are in the trouble that cores is in, and they're not the only ones, and some of them are in worse trouble than them. It's all about what their lender is going to be willing to do with them. Or are they going to be driven? If they're driven into a reorganization, I just don't know there's going to be anything left over for the shareholders. Even if the company survives, then there may be nothing left for the shareholders. But if the lenders are willing to work with them and help them get to the other end of this, that's they are now relying on the kindness of others. That's their only way to the other end of this. There's nothing they can do to save themselves other than just do the best job negotiating on their loans as they can. Gary's saying, Mara, 50 coins mined in the last 4 days. I did notice a little bit of a pickup, and I think it was starting 4 days ago. They had a five block day. But they are still not on pace to even do what they did last month. So there's still a lot of month left. They could catch up, but I mean, based on the number of machines they had coming into this month and the number of machines they said they were going to hook up, they are clearly operating at some seriously reduced capacity versus what is their active exahash. And I don't know why that is, and maybe they will explain that in their monthly operational update. But it does look like, for a while there, 5 or 6 days ago, it looked like Marathon's November was going to be a nightmare. Now it looks like maybe they stand an outside shot of maybe catching October and having a similar month, but they really should have had a much better month. People won't wait 5 to 10 years for investments to play out, but will work at a job they hate for 45 years. That's a wild mindset. And that is the truth. Or a series of jobs, you know. I mean, that's what we're all staring in the face. That's how we pay the bills. But yeah, it's a 2022 attention span. You know, this is the new world. Everything's instantaneous, immediate. So, you know, 5 to 10 year investment horizon. Right now, trying to convince people of a 2 or 3 year investment horizon is almost impossible. Jeff is saying Mara is in imminent danger. Is there any other kind?
Sorry.
It's all right. Mara Management using company as a cash cow. What a surprise there. That said Eric. Darren says Cores does not mine the most every month. Oh, Cores does mine the most every month. They could get through this. The problem, Darren, is that even with all the Bitcoin they mine, at Bitcoin 16,000, it's not so much their direct cost. So you've got your direct costs, you've got overhead costs, and then you've got interest on your loans. But what they're running into is they've got principal due on their loans, so which is way in excess of the amount of Bitcoin that they mine. So even if they sell 100% of their Bitcoin, they can't even close to make their loan payment.
Wait. How come they had the thought process of hodling before when the price was 65,000, right?
They
That's what
did.
everybody wanted to do. So now that it's 16,000, why wouldn't everybody hodl it?
Yeah, because now they can't pay their bills. They can't keep the electricity on. There's no
No,
liquidity.
I'm saying from an investor's point of view, from us, our point of view, if we believe Bitcoin's going to $1 million, right, per coin.
Oh, you're talking about
Why
not the
would
company.
why would we as people think that this company, you see what I mean? I don't understand that logic. I don't understand the logic is we believe it's going to just say 500,000. Why would we be nervous right
Or even
now when we're
200,000.
right, or 200,000? Why would we be nervous, and why would the company be nervous? I understand about the cash problem, but
The company
see, people
just
don't really believe it. That's the fact. People don't believe it.
with Core Scientific in specific, they sent a notice to the SEC. They have defaulted on their loans. So this is not like a theoretical, if they
Right.
don't keep up, this is going to happen. It's done. They are in default, and they don't have the money to get themselves out of default, even if they sell every single Bitcoin.
What do they need? What do they need?
I think they're about 30 million short in the very short term, and a bunch more past that.
If I give them 30 million, what do I get?
You get nothing, because then you're
See?
going to have to give them another 30 million and then another
see?
30 million.
Yeah, see?
And that's why the liquidity in this industry has dried up. People aren't getting loans like they were a year ago, and people are trying to manage their stock dilution, because who wants to dilute their stock at its all-time low? So a lot of these companies are using a little bit of their at-the-market offering, their shelf offerings, just enough to pay the bills. But nobody, I've been reading the financials. Nobody's going crazy with their at-the-market offerings right now. The prices are just too low. Gary,
I don't know what to say except one thing.
What?
Shouldn't get debt.
Well,
How much did they walk away with?
How much debt?
No, like, you know how everybody complains about, like, I'll bring up a sore subject like I always do. CleanSpark and the compensation.
Here's the thing. If the stock goes to zero, these guys walked away with nothing, which has been my point all along. So, you know what I mean? If CleanSpark stock goes to zero, then all these stock bonuses were worth nothing.
They mean nothing.
All right, we got Gary saying, I'm guessing under 500 coins for Marathon in November. And then followed it up with 490 is his guess. So, I mean, it depends. That's what they're tracking for right now. So, I mean, you're right on. If they pick it up, I don't know. I don't know what they do for the rest of the month. But either way, I mean, at this point, they have to pick up the pace big time just to catch up with what they did in October. So that's not how this should be working, right? They had just started to get on track, and now all of a sudden they're really not quite on track. It's not as awful as it looked like it was going to be about 12 or 13 days into the month. Anders says hello. You still bullish on Riot? Getting a bit worried here. So for me, I'm still bullish on Riot. At the very beginning, I said the two companies that have the strongest balance sheets, in my opinion, are Riot and HUT. So to me, those are the two. That doesn't mean they necessarily have the most upside, but to me, the two strongest balance sheets mean they have the best chance of surviving whatever is ahead. If there's good times ahead, then everybody's going to survive. Although, at this point, I think it's fairly clear that several of these companies are not going to survive, in my opinion.
What, you think they'll make it through the year?
I mean, we're 45 days away from the end of the year, so they may make it to the end of the year. But I think we're going to start hearing more and more of these, bad news situations. Hey, we defaulted on our debt, or whatever the case may be.
Hang on a second.
Let's see. Holy cow. I'm just reading. Michael Anthony says, stocks are hard now, and now the company has hurt all over the other companies. Then last night on Mad Money, Jim Cramer said he could make coins and sell them. Oh, great. I don't see anybody buying Jim Cramer coins, but maybe I'm wrong. Mr. Charles said, Enron got caught lying about losses, but did anyone stop trading energy derivatives? No. The result was more regulation. That's how I'm looking at this. Well, there's no doubt Mr. Charles, I think, is right on there. What this was inevitable anyway, and hopefully this is actually a catalyst to just get it done. We need regulations. And I will always reiterate, like, I'm not a regulations person. I don't want to see a lot of regulations. To whatever extent you can, I'd like the free market to play out in its own way. But when it's money, some regulations are necessary, or people do things that are, inappropriately risky with other people's money. So we need some regulations. We need some crypto exchange regulations, in my opinion, and we need regulations on stable coins to ensure that they are, in fact, stable coins. If those two things were in place, I think the rest of the crypto world could work itself out. But we can't be in a situation where you have your money on exchange and, you're worried that tomorrow you're going to wake up and find out that exchange is gone. And your money's gone with it. So they gotta take that risk out of the market, and they can do that with proper regulations. I do think, despite the fact that the Bank of America just downgraded them, I like Coinbase. I think they're the big winner out of all of this. So time will tell. And a lot of times, getting a downgrade is actually a good sign that, by the time these analysts get around to doing a downgrade, we're at or past the bottom. But even the Bank of America analyst did say that Coinbase is not an FTX situation. They just face some headwinds for the next, 12 months. So he doesn't like the stock over the next 12 months. Tim is asking, why is Marathon in imminent danger? Danger. Would you say that they're in grave danger?
Danger, Will Robinson. Danger.
Marathon 23 exahash next year is going to be huge. That's from Brandon. I don't want to say too much because I'm going to put out a Marathon video tomorrow. They have now put out their quarterly report. They filed their 10Q. They filed it late, but it is now filed. So I have a lot more information than I did the last time I made a video. So I would like to do a thorough update because there is some stuff in there worth talking about. For sure. And one of the things, I think, I can't remember who said that they're in danger, but one of the things they're in danger of is they are continuing to have to put additional of their Bitcoin up as collateral. They only have just about 2,000 Bitcoin left that are, that are not collateralizing, that are not securing the money that they borrowed. So, and at that point, now your Bitcoin, so they have almost, I think it's like 8 or more, I think like 9,000 or maybe more than 9,000 Bitcoin. That's not of theirs that they're showing on their balance sheet. That's not in their custody, and it is securing money that they borrowed. So and they've already got a call on this once where they had to give more Bitcoin in order to reach the proper ratio. I think that they have a 65 loan to value ratio. So in other words, as the price of Bitcoin goes down, they're going to have to keep giving the financing company even more of their Bitcoin to hold in custody to secure this loan. And if it gets bad enough, the math starts to be bad when you've given them all of your Bitcoin And now they have to start selling your Bitcoin to get you back in balance. So that's the risk. And Marathon has a strong balance sheet. I will say, in their defense, they have a strong balance sheet. If they lose all those Bitcoin, it will be a monumental error. And not funny. The thing is, they went and leveraged their Bitcoin like they just did that in October. So it's mind-boggling to me that they would get into that arrangement in $50 million of that arrangement was in October. That was last month. So why they did that, I don't understand. And they run the risk, if one of George's scenarios happen and we flash down to 10,000 or 12,000 or 8,000, they could lose all their Bitcoin. Now, they would pay off their loan in exchange for that, but what good does that get them? Because it's not even their big loan. They have two loans, I think, that together are about $100 million that are not their convertible debt 1% loans. That's another $700 million on top of all of that. This is just their other stuff. Benny's saying miners just have to survive for the next 12 months, and whoever is left will be great long term. I mean, there's a lot of truth to that. I think this is survival mode. We're deep into survival mode. It's one of the reasons I like HUT and Riot, and those aren't even my two biggest holdings. There's some other ones I like a lot as well, just based on your risk tolerance. But I think HUT was the first one to identify what was coming. They called this over a year ago, in my opinion, and, they didn't yell and scream it because nobody wanted to hear it then. But if you look at their actions and what they've done over the last 12 months, they have been in crypto winter mode for a year. They're not out of it yet. We still have not seen them make an announcement for a huge purchase of miners or anything like that. So I think
what do you think the over-under is somebody buying Core or Marathon?
I think you're looking at asset sales because the debt is unfixable. For a new person to come in and assume that debt, nobody's going to do that. They'll just let the company go under and have an asset sale. Now, if they can restructure all their debt, but if they can restructure, then they won't sell. If they can get good enough restructured debt, then they can survive and see if Bitcoin does its thing over the next 2 or 3 years, if they buy themselves that amount of time. And, it could work out for them. But if the banks or lenders don't cooperate, then they're just done. And that's not all of them. That's just certain of the Bitcoin miners. Several of the Bitcoin miners have some debt that's due in the next 12 months, and that's cash. That's a much, much, much bigger piece of their cash flow than all the cash they pay for operations, even for direct costs on mining their Bitcoin. So that's why it can have such a big effect. Mr. Charles is saying not all 23 exahash is paid for. That's another thing I'm going to talk about. They paid an extraordinary amount of money for the machines that they have. So their cost basis in these machines, I think, is probably the highest out of everybody. So Martin's saying, when is the Sue interview? I did hear back from Sue. So she asked me if we could do the second week of December. So I don't have an exact date, but I said, yeah, that works for me. So I think that's when we can expect to hear from Sue. I think we don't know what they're doing. They're busy doing something, and I know they're very busy. But she did say she would come on in the second week in December. So we'll get a chance to hit her up on what's going on at that point. Michael Anthony says, on Hive, I thought Hive did ETH and Bitcoin both. They do both ETH and Bitcoin, but however, ETH has now, in the middle of September, switched over to proof of stake. So they're, on literally in one day, there was no more mining of Ethereum. So that part of their business doesn't exist anymore. Now, they did mine in October. They said they were able to, with the GPUs that they used to mine Ethereum, they were able to mine other Bitcoins that equaled the equivalence of, or sorry, other altcoins that were the equivalents of 45 Bitcoin. But they were doing about 200 to 250 Bitcoin equivalent when they were doing Ethereum. But that's gone now, and it's not coming back.
Ho.
Kevin is saying everyone's calling for further Bitcoin crashing. I think a big surprise is in for most. If everyone is waiting for 10K, but you really think it's going there, same thing happens every time. Jeff says I'm over Sue. She blew Tom off for too long. I'm not holding it against her. I'm sure these guys got to be careful what they say with the SEC, when they can talk to people and what they're allowed to say to people. So, I mean, she's always been, in the past, she would come on in 2 days' notice. So if she's got to do whatever she's got to do, I'm not.
I can't say the things I want to say that they come in my head. Sorry.
George.
Nothing. It's all good. I'm not. What do you think? You go there? I'm not even talking about Sue. I'm talking about life. I know where you went. I'm going to tell you something. Who said that we might be in for a surprise with Bitcoin?
Kevin.
I agree with Kevin.
Aha.
I believe we can fly. I think we might be in a big. Remember, Bitcoin's going to turn on a dime. And I think that, how to say this in a politically correct way? I think that we see
Where's my buzzer?
a lot of things changing. Did you ever get your button?
No, I tried to do that.
You don't have a button.
No, I have.
Why do you lie about this button?
I have a Stream Deck, so I just have to make one of the buttons that button, and we tried to do it earlier today, and I failed. So I will have a George button.
I just think that, Bitcoin's been beat up so bad. It's either going to flip on a switch here come real soon, or it's going to go another year and a half.
This is the thing. What you just said, everybody needs to remember. This is all this downward pressure. Look how volatile this is. This was massive downward pressure that we never expected. And some of you may say, well, I expected it. Okay, well, I didn't. But the thing is, we've seen this flip on a dime. I mean, Bitcoin can double, triple, quadruple in short periods of time. That's how cryptocurrency works. So,
Well, and remember, the thing that I'm going to say I said way back hasn't even happened yet. Tether.
Which is?
Tether.
Oh, the Tether situation.
Any exchange that's outside of the U.S. because of the U.S. regulations that we have, there's a problem. And there's more of a problem, especially when you just have, isn't it amazing that FTX, their FTT, it went belly up and then they got hacked. Isn't that just amazing? It's just like shocker. How's that possible, Tom? And then did you hear they both got hacked? The FTX US and the FTX International, they both got hacked.
That's what I heard, although I did not confirm that
I have
firsthand.
not seen, right, but if that happened, that is just, I'm in shock. And then did anybody else hear about Tom Brady? And it looks like Tom Brady could have known about this a month before everybody else.
Oh boy.
I haven't confirmed that. I'm saying that it looks like, meaning that there's still some doubt in my mind.
There could be a possibility that
happened. There's a very good possibility that he's getting a divorce because of it. Isn't that amazing? So
we thought it was about football, but it's about Bitcoin.
I think he just, yeah. I mean,
See, that's how important cryptocurrency is.
I I told Tom this, and I'm going to tell this to everybody here. I make a living doing something else so that we can play YouTube.
Right.
You know what I mean? I mean, I'm not going to lie. I mean, we play YouTube because you play YouTube until you can make it. You know, I mean, I call Joe Rogan, but he don't want to hear me. You know, so I call this playing Bitcoin. And when you play, you're playing YouTube. So when you play YouTube, I can't give you half of my knowledge that I have. I can only give you an
Oh,
eighth
I
of the
need my
knowledge.
George button.
An eighth of my knowledge.
This is this is the George Button speech.
No, I think at this point in time, if the company, somebody wrote a really good if you guys aren't sorry, I really was retarded before, just so you guys know. It's no joke.
You had a learning disability.
Yeah, I had a learning disability. That's why every once in a while my tongue gets all tied up. And now I forgot what I was going to say. Why does that happen? It was a good one too. Oh,
it'll come back to you.
Somebody wrote on Discord, and if you're not a member of Discord, I highly recommend, because Tom and I get to run it, and Steven and Chance, we all get to run it. But here is what's really cool, is that other people have amazing insight about Bitcoin. And one of the things that was just written today about Bitcoin was, if you have a company that doesn't own their own facilities, don't hold their coins. I mean, their stock. If you have a company that's leveraged on their Bitcoin, don't own their stock. So basically what he was saying was, if a company has a lot of debt, that's not a really good company in these times that, you know, the crypto winter or that Bitcoin goes through this flux that it's going through. But that didn't come from us. That came from somebody else in the channel. What I love about our Discord is there's so many good insight from so many people, and thank you. We really appreciate it, because that's how it works. It's a community.
And we let people go on the Discord. People have in-depth, sometimes argument. You know, if it gets inappropriate, obviously we shut it down. But we don't censor. We let people say their opinions, and you know, it's awesome sometimes to get a 20 back and forth, because you start to.
Yeah, it's great. And then Sour Melon Gaming, he just said something that is true, by the way. And what's even sadder, Sour Melon, is that they're not turning away from the regulations that they had. They're going forward with what he came in, and any of those regulations were in place, none of them would have stopped that from going down the way it was.
Jeff wants credit. He said that was his comment on the Discord.
That was yours? Dude, that was awesome, Jeff. I'm sorry I forgot. I just remember reading it and saying that this is amazing when you read this. And that's what we need. And this is why I'm next. Well, I know we're going to do a stream next Friday. It's the day after Thanksgiving.
Is the market open?
I think so, isn't it? Or is it closed?
No, it's got to be open. It can't be closed for that many days in a row. Do you guys... Are you guys in for a stream next Friday, or is that just a day everybody's gone?
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't think about that. It's next.
You could leave in the comments if you think we should stream next Friday. I'd be inclined to just do a stream, and if nobody shows up, well, then...
No one shows up. Well, because here's what I was going to say was bring a friend. Until we get a bigger voice in YouTube, which Tom has some amazing news coming too, by the way. We're really happy. We're very happy. Would you say you're happy, Tom?
I'm happy. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, we had some great revelations this week that that have really unfolded. That's actually given me more confidence in crypto and Bitcoin. So.
Agreed.
I'm Canadian, so I'm done. Yeah, did you know that Canada has like a Turkey Day in October? Did you get your note?
I knew that.
Oh, let me see.
Alex is saying, when SBF has an attorney parent, one has to wonder what is the attorney fees. Hi, is he getting free advice? Is that your
stream, please? So So that's the thing. I have a feeling that Bitcoin is just going to turn on a dime. And go ahead. Huh? No, I'm not. I don't know how much longer because I'm waiting. They're supposed to be close, but I don't know.
Barry said George is always trying to get out of work.
I am trying to always get out of work.
Trying to cancel next Friday's stream. Colton, I'm in Canada, so I'm down for next Friday. Jeff said I'll be there. Charles said stream. Sour Melon Gaming says yes to the stream.
I just heard it. I didn't know about it. I'm sorry. I just learned about it. Like,
Kevin, yes. Gorilla, yes.
did you know that Canada had a...
I knew
Did you
that.
know that Canada? You did?
Absolutely.
And they kicked the Indians out also. I'm serious, by the way.
The views expressed on this channel are not necessarily...
No, I'm not. This is... They give up, according to somebody... I have a friend who's I was going to say is the Canuck, sorry. He was from Canada. And these are just slangs that I learned when I was younger. There's nothing... I'm a Canadian bacon fan, that's why. But
yes.
anyways,
Darren Barron,
told
Gary
me all
White
about
talking,
it.
Those guys all said they're in for the stream.
I'm basically Canadian, just so you guys all know. So is Tom. We are basically, I mean, we're from Rochester, New York, which is, there's water, and then we're right there on the coast.
We grew up a stone's throw from Canada,
so we have
on the East Coast.
Right.
So.
Which funny is because I actually think more like a Canadian than I do an
hey Seth,
United States person. Does that make sense?
You think more like a Canadian?
Yeah.
What?
Huh?
I don't think that's evidence. I don't think that counts as evidence.
Oh, in the TV, by the TV.
Bitcoin will never drop to a dime. Well, I would certainly
might
hope
be a
not.
quarter. Might be a quarter.
George, can you please finish a thought? Why do you think Bitcoin is going to fly? That's from Awakened Soul.
Why do I think Bitcoin's going to fly? I think there's I don't want to sound like a crazy person, guys. But I'm just saying that there is a lot of things out there that could really change the...
See you later, Jeff. Thanks for stopping in.
Where Bitcoin is. There's a lot. This is a great time to be invested in Bitcoin. That's what I'm going to say. Not financial advice.
Gary's saying a poll on the number of Canadians.
Yeah, it's funny. There's a lot of Canadians. Are you going for a walk? You taking the mutts?
Oh, I gotta end my other poll. So we're gonna end our other poll, and it's...
Are you gonna do another one? You can't do more than one at once?
It just lets you do one at once. This one was pretty darn close. 43% of the people think we're going down from here, and 57% of the people think we're going up. And that is what direction Bitcoin is going in. So that was 82 votes. I'm gonna end that poll.
So what was it? Basically 50-50?
It was 57 to 42.
Whoa! You see, but we have people that know.
Huh? Who's got people that know what?
We have people that know Bitcoin.
Oh, that's right. Well, hey, listen, but it was still a pretty split. It was a pretty split vote.
We got Benny Hill.
Roberts says Ottawa. Michael Anthony, Tom, which company did you say that you like the best? Because the best 3 Bitcoin miners look bad on a chart and going to take time for all of this noise to go away with CNBC. Stop talking about this. Yeah, I mean, every Bitcoiner looks bad on a chart right now. You're 100% right, Michael. I mean, we're at or near 52-week and/or / all-time lows for almost every single Bitcoin miner that's publicly traded. So there's not a chart that looks good.
Don't go too far.
But there's companies that I like, the ones that I had mentioned. And again, you know, a big part of this is what your risk tolerance is. Because all of these companies really, 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 truly have very different business models. They all mine Bitcoin, but they do so in a very different way. They have different principles of which they built their businesses around. So, you know, some some have more risk than others. So to me, I think
Half
the
an
lower
hour.
risk ones are, the strong balance sheets are Riot and Hut. I think those are your strong balance sheets. I think Cleanspark has had an unbelievable year, massive growth year, and they've paid for their growth as they go. I think Bitfarms has had a good year. Not the stocks. These stocks are Bitfarms stock is 65 cents. Their operational updates all year this year, in my opinion, have been either a B or an A. So again, not financial advice. That's my opinion, but that's how I would rank them. And Cleanspark have been an A. And they're at their all-time low. And I know someone will tell me it's not their all-time low, but they used to do something else a long, long time ago. Since they started mining Bitcoin 2 years ago, this is far and away their all-time low. They were a $40 company when they started mining Bitcoin. They're a $2 company now. So Cleanspark's been wrecked with all the rest of them.
When do you think we will get an ETF for Bitcoin? Have you been paying attention to that lawsuit?
The ETF for Bitcoin is such a big deal. People, I don't know if everybody feels the same way or not, but when that happens, it's game over. So I don't know how long they're going to push that off for.
I mean, look at how long they've pushed off XRP. I mean, they can do the same, you know what I mean?
Right. They can dance for a long time. But at some point in 2023, I would think in 2023, there's a lot of pressure now because it is very hard for them to explain that why they would allow an ETF on a Bitcoin derivative, but not an ETF on Bitcoin. So at some point, they're going to get challenged and they're going to lose. And there's going to be a Bitcoin ETF. That's my opinion. I don't know if. Hopefully that's in 2023, but I don't know.
Hopefully that's in 2022. What are you talking about?
It's not.
We got 45 days to go.
I know. I'm not holding my breath that it's in 2022, but it would be just fine if it was in 2023. Austin saying regulators take forever. I wonder how the Grayscale spot ETF lawsuit will turn out. Yeah, I mean Grayscale. Listen, Grayscale's not fooling around. They're pursuing that vigorously.
I'm going to tell you another thing that people don't think about. These Bitcoins off network, there's a lot of transactions that happen off network. I think I would almost say that more transactions happen off network than on network. Tom?
Well, because they're off network, we'll never truly know. But yeah, that's a off exchange. I think is what you're
off
saying.
Exchange, yeah.
You know, it's funny. These exchanges are kind of they're a oxymoron because they exist to centralize that which was meant to be decentralized. So I think they need to exist to a certain extent. So I don't think they're going to cease to exist. But I do think a lot more people will hold. I think already, even some people who didn't even know what cold wallet was have learned based on the series of bad events that have occurred with these exchanges. People are putting more and more of their cryptocurrency in cold wallets.
Yeah. Don't ever share your keys.
Yeah. Barry's saying, as the miners have been selling off their reserves, now there is less Bitcoin coming onto the market every week. Yeah, and the thing is, even when the miners sold their reserves, I mean, versus the amount of transactions that occur, adding 1,000 Bitcoin into the mix, you got Michael Saylor on the other end that every once in a while he'll buy more than that in a day. So it's...
He ain't selling.
Gary's saying MSTR is the closest thing to an ETF, and that is, speaking of Michael Saylor, yeah, that's exactly right. That, in a lot of ways, really should be acting like a Bitcoin ETF. There are some other benefits. It took me a while to come around on what the benefits of that are, but that's MicroStrategy. But yeah, I think that's the closest thing to an ETF. But when there's an actual ETF and there are the Bitcoin held in custody by the ETF ETFs are regulated by the SEC. That is going to line up in a way where all the rest of the investment world is not going to be afraid of that. So, in my opinion, so I think that will have a massive, massive impact. Alex is saying only after Bitcoin is regulated, then an ETF. I mean, that could very well be right. I'm hoping they get some core regulations in the first 6 months of the year. They're never going to be done regulating cryptocurrency. But what they need to do is start with some regulations on how what crypto exchanges are allowed to do as far as leveraging and risk and that kind of stuff. And they need to verify the stable coins, because we can't just call something a stable coin and hope that somehow behind it there's stability.
It becomes stable.
Yeah, exactly. So that's got to be an open book, in my opinion. Those are the two regulations that mean more than all the other regulations they could do put together, in my opinion. So if you know your congressman, you can spread the word. That's what I think they need to be doing.
Barry, I've used Uniswap. And then I've used is it MetaMask?
MetaMask.
I can't get MetaMask to work, by the way, and it isn't because I don't know what I'm doing. It's because there's so many freaking reasons you can't use it. Like, this credit card won't work. And then think about what is going on with crypto. You can't use certain credit cards to make purchases of crypto. You can't, and then there's certain banks that won't allow you to fund wallets on MetaMask. I mean, this is crazy.
The whole thing seems to be, this is what these stable coins are for. If you take your money, your fiat money, as they say, and buy stable coins, then there's no gain or loss on transaction, and now your money has left the real world and it's gone into the crypto world. Now you can use your stable coins to buy cryptocurrencies, but not every stable coin can buy every cryptocurrency. Most cryptocurrency, there's 100 different exchanges. Nobody has all of the cryptocurrencies. And
no one.
I don't even know if any. You guys can tell me. Is there one exchange that has all 30 of the top 30 cryptocurrencies? Because to me, if that's not true, and I don't know if it is or not, but I mean, I know at one point that was not true, but it may be true by now.
Did anybody hear about with FTX? They weren't really buying Bitcoin. So if you bought Bitcoin on FTX, they weren't really going out and buying it. They just said that you owned it even though you didn't. Oh, I tried to do an ACH transfer, trust me. I just think it's because of the banks I use.
Well, and the banks aren't making things easy these days either. And the government's going to switch over to crypto sooner than later, and we got that coming too. So there's a lot out there.
And then I gave my son my master key, and of course he lost it.
See you,
I
Kevin.
can't
Thanks.
find it either. No,
you can't lose your key. Then you're done.
Your master key, you're like the 12 words or whatever, 8 words.
The magic words.
Never mind. Fairest election ever, I think is what it was.
That's true. You're not supposed to tell people your password.
It's not what it is. Everybody knows it's not what it is. It's like random words like rabbit, carrot, lake, ocean.
Jury, welcome. Jury says, lost 2/3 of my crypto on FTX. Not good.
Not
good.
Sorry,
Man.
buddy.
Sorry, Jury. That is not cool.
Yeah, I mean, and these... You know what? I don't know did you see the interview with this guy too? Who had that interview, Tom? Did you see that?
With
With
SBF?
Sam, yeah, with Sammy. He has no remorse at all for this. He's like, eh, it happened. You know, what am I going to say? I want to say it. Oh, I so want to say it. Spoken like a somebody that's true.
Barry said, if you can buy coins on PayPal, do they actually buy them? Is there a delay if so? I would like to know the answer to that, because to me, that is another place. There's several places that you can buy Bitcoin and a few other cryptocurrencies. I mean, you could do so on Robinhood. So those are more easily accessible ways to buy, you know, but usually it's just the core Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin for some reason always gets into the mix. So I don't know. That's a great question, Barry. I got to find out the answer to that. Or if anybody knows the answer, drop it in the comments.
I just realized something, that Bitcoin doesn't use as much energy as, you want to know what it is?
What?
Our high schools.
Well, but that's for the children.
I mean, but I was going by the high school when there was like 5 people on the field last night, and they have it lit up like a Christmas tree. I've never seen so many lights in my life. And I was just like, geez, I wonder what that costs.
Yeah.
Wonder how many. And then you see, you know, when your lights dim in your house because they just turned on the power.
Let's see.
Oh, is that what's going on with Bitfarms? About the hydro in Quebec? I call that. Isn't that Niagara Falls? Or?
That is not their source of hydroelectric. There's so much
no?
hydro energy.
Hydro thunder. Sorry.
Bitfarm scare with Hydro Quebec wants to stop the bit. That was okay. So yes, that is true. But as far as I can tell, that was completely false. So I think their stock did take a big hit because of it, but I don't think that was a real story. So yeah, if you read, Bitfarms put out a response to that story and said it is false. And, you know, they filed that with the SEC as well. So you know, take it for whatever it's worth. They're saying that's not a true story, but it probably certainly did not help the price of Bitfarm. That's for sure.
Ugly. What, Colton? What about that ugly FTX girl? Listen, you know, we don't know she was a girl. That's all I can say.
Not even where I thought you were going.
I know.
At all.
Have you seen any interviews that she did? Oh my goodness gracious. It's just, wow.
Yeah. Well, and you know, those guys were
There's 10 of them.
Sam's only 30 years old, I think.
There's 10 of them. Right? There's supposedly 10 people in this inner circle. How long do you give them to live, by the way?
Oh, you got them on the chopping block? Uh-oh.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, I would think, you know, I mean, there's some scary people in crypto, you know? Look at CZ. I'm joking about CZ.
He's supposed to be the good guy now.
Yeah.
That's his new story. He's the good guy.
Hang on. Hello?
Oh, George is on. George is on a call. I'm going to catch up. Yeah, so, I mean, I don't know. On the Bitfarms thing, Bitfarms is at 65 cents, which to me is mind-boggling. And you guys
Where were these interviews before FTX? You know what I mean? That's what I want to know. Why didn't they show these interviews before?
Oh,
I've never seen. I didn't even.
His girlfriend. It's his girlfriend.
Yeah. Well, we don't know that.
That's what I'm told. That's what I've been told.
Yeah, I mean, just wow. The only thing I can say is wow.
Jay, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Jay Shim is saying Bitfarms has already said the Hydro-Quebec is a non-issue. SBF was supposed to be the good guy for a while too, says Games I Play. Yeah, that's kind of what I was hinting at. That's, we all remember when he was the hero and he saved BlockFi and he was going to save Voyager and I don't remember who else. And apparently he was saving them with money he did not have, it would seem.
And think about that. If he would have played that right, he could have made so much money. Instead of just dumping all that money in at once, you know what I mean? He could have trickled it in, got in on the coin before he gave them. I mean, there's so many things he could have done. It's just sad.
George, Darren's comments for you.
Yeah. I have no idea who that person is you're talking about, by the way.
Wrong number.
Yeah, wrong number. Right. All I know is the video cameras will be off.
Remember to like, and we only have 20 seconds.
After I say that, remember to like. I didn't even like it, Tom.
No, like the live stream. We got 27 likes.
I didn't even like it. That's what I was saying.
Oh, you haven't liked it?
I just liked it.
It's free. It's free. Like the live stream.
We figured it out. What happens is YouTube will only let us get to 100 people, and then they shut us down. I don't know why, but they only let us get to 100, and then they say,
it's either a crazy coincidence or something's going on, because simultaneously, our concurrent simultaneous viewers seem to top out at like 98, 97.
It gets to right there and then stop.
So
I think what happens is somebody
George
has to put Manuel's eyes on it, and they see it's me, and they're like, "Oh, not that guy from Poop Dynasty."
You're bringing us down.
Yeah, I know.
Well,
bringing your way down.
That's why you got to do what George said. Bring a friend next week to the. Oh, thanks. I pronounced that correctly. Bring a friend to the stream so we want to get through 100 concurrent viewers. So it's just we just want to see from the point of view. George doesn't think YouTube's going to allow it to happen, and I thought he was nuts, but now I'm beginning to wonder because it's been so many times in a row.
Oh, it got right there again today, and then bam, bam, right
every single time. It's incredible.
Because it just like all of a sudden it'll hit, and then boom. Oh, and two, I'm probably gonna do two things. One, I already have a cryptocurrency out there, by the way. I won't tell you the name of it. But anyways, I'm trying to do now. I think I'm gonna do an exchange, and I'm gonna do another crypto. That's my goal.
Luke said, "Thank you all. Love this YouTube channel. Thank you,
Luke,
for that. Appreciated it. I hope I'm saying that right. If I pronounce your name wrong, that's seems to, for whatever reason, be my go-to move. So it's not intentional." Barry said, "Remember in the old days, the stream used to die after an hour." Yeah, I mean,
This is true, crypto golfer. I struggle with that. It's like I'd rather be down at the bottom instead of up on the top. I like the middle. The middle's kind of nice. You can kind of see better.
You're always better off under 100 and not in the YouTube crosshairs, says Crypto Golfer. Yeah,
so close us out, Tom, with Bitcoin.
Huh?
Close us out. What's the level of Bitcoin been this last day?
I mean, we're sitting here between 16.6 and 16.8 for the last several days. I'm on the 1 day right here, and you can see there's not much. This is very...
At the bottom of this chart, is this the activity of Bitcoin? Is this the
This is the volume, yes.
And so what happened was we got killed. So look at how low our volume is.
But look at these 2 days of major volume. And again, I think I'm on the Coinbase. I use TradingView, but I think I use the Coinbase chart. So I think this reflects Coinbase's volume. So
you don't have a total volume?
They've got some that are like, oh, this is an average or an aggregate, but this is where I got all my lines, so I can't move now. I'm in too deep.
So there's a big dump, and that's what brought us down. And then a lot of people bought, but not as much as the dump. And we're recovering from that still today.
Jay said, thanks so much for your comments in June, July, and August. Made tons of money on HUT. Awesome. I'm glad. That's great. That is what we're here for.
That's always been our goal, is to help people in this really, 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 really difficult market.
Two goals. One, and you know, obviously everybody makes their own decisions at the end of the day, but if any information that we give leads somebody to not make a mistake, even, that's a lot of times bigger than, you know, getting the right pick and making money is just giving someone some knowledge or information so they don't go make a mistake. I think that is so crucial in investing in general, especially in this little segment that we're involved in. Although I did get a comment this week that I got some nasty comments this week in the on YouTube comments section.
What'd you get? What was the nastiest one?
Somebody
said... You should read... You know what? That's what we're going to do next Friday. On the stream, we're going to read some of the comments and respond to them.
But, yes.
That'd be kind of fun. Let's do that.
I mean,
the market probably is not going to be open, Tom. I think it's closed on that Friday.
I'm going to check right now.
And I think that would be kind of fun to do anyways. And a big dump always brings me down too. I don't know. Actually, a big dump makes me happy.
Brother,
I think we're talking about two different things.
I go look at... So
all right,
Chris.
Chris.
Talking investing.
Chris.
What's happening?
We got another member.
Welcome.
Chris, I was going to tell you something. So I have two schools of thought.
Thank you, Jay. Welcome
For the
aboard.
longest time, I felt that Bitcoin was going to $8,400-$8,500. It's not financial advice. Tom thought 17-something was the bottom, and then 15.6 was the bottom. But here's the thing that I don't know, and this is, my decision about the bottom changes here a lot lately. I'm thinking we could be very close to the bottom, if not at the bottom. So I'm not saying we're there yet, but I'm saying that there's not much downside left, I believe.
So you're starting to feel like this level of pain has been painful enough.
I will say this, if Bitcoin hasn't gone up by the end of the year, then we're in for the long haul, and it's going to go maybe until August of next year.
Martin is saying, Martin said, you have helped me a ton. I was down 80%, and now I'm only down 30%. I'm glad to hear that, Martin. That's awesome news. Always love to hear good news like that.
Hey, Martin, what do you think your strategy was with all that, by the way?
So, also, while you're thinking of that, Darren is saying yes, and I'm looking on screen. It says the market is open next Friday. The market is closed for Thanksgiving holiday on Thursday, but will open at 9:30 Eastern time. So that's normal hours. Although it says it will open, I should probably go in and read the rest. Is it going to be a full trading day, or is it going to close at 1 o'clock?
Barry. I guess, Barry, you got to join Discord today.
Come on, I called it.
Today, I got back in CleanSpark and HUT and XRP. I'm back in.
According to
Kiplinger, I spent all my money. I don't even know if I made money or lost money today. Probably lost.
You did not spend all your money.
No. I spent all my investment money though.
You got back into the market in a healthy manner. It was not a small investment. George made a reasonable investment to get back in the game today for sure.
Yeah, I'm in. My theory was, you're never going to be able to call the bottom, right? Who's going to be able to call the bottom? But yeah. I mean, here's the thing. And this could be wrong at this point in time. I don't know, but I don't believe it is. BlackRock didn't get out of these companies. Okay. And who's the other one?
Vanguard, BlackRock.
They didn't get out of these companies. So when Tom and I remember, were we doing this? We were doing this on the stream, on our members only stream, and that was like we were talking about, who has the biggest holding, and so I started really thinking about this. these guys know what's going to happen. These guys know who's going out and who's not going out of business.
Well,
They
to a
know.
certain extent, with the amount of money under management by BlackRock, I'm not going to say they dictate who wins and loses, but, 10, 11, 12 trillion dollars goes a long way.
Woohoo! Thanks, buddy. And I'm just going with, look I watch these miners every day like everybody else. And the reason I got out in June was because I had a significant loss already. And then I thought, for almost a month and a half, I thought I made a mistake. Remember, it was still going up. But wait, no, July, I think I got out.
You got out in the middle of the upswing. So you caught some, you missed half. But in the end, we're down to lower spots than we were then. So.
Oh yeah. No, I didn't buy any Riot, but I think I am gonna buy Riot too. But I'm in this I'm not gonna touch it for 5 years. I don't care what happens in the next 60 to 90 days. But 5 years, I'm leaving it there.
Mark your calendars.
Yeah, mark your calendar. It's 22, so 27 is when. And then the other thing is, I'm real close to buying. Well, not a lot of Bitcoin, but for me, I guess it's a lot of Bitcoin. Tom was telling me this. Did you know you're a whale if you have how many Bitcoin? We should do that as a real quick one, even though how many. What makes you a whale of how many Bitcoins do you need to hold?
A whale is an unofficial term.
Right, but I think it's only a couple, right, Tom?
Yeah, it's a very small number, and the fact is there aren't very many people that even own one full Bitcoin. There's only 21 million Bitcoin. And, there's people that own, or, not people, but establishments, investors, brokers, that kind of stuff that own hundreds of thousands. A lot of them are lost. We think that maybe as many as 4 million of them are gone forever. So those are never coming back.
So I have should I tell how much money I spent or no?
No, but let me ask you this first. You just said you're not even gonna look at this for 5 years.
Well, we do this every day.
Well, I know you're gonna look at it every day. I'm just saying your investment, you're in for 5 years. So yes. having said that, what do you personally think the chances are that you're going to sell all your Bitcoin or all your mining stocks in the next 90 days?
None.
So you're going with 0.
None. Right. No, I'm not doing it because here's what I made a decision when I was sitting on the toilet the other day.
That's wonderful.
The decision was, we got to go after this comment. The decision was this. I had this money for investments. This money is for investments. And whether I made the right decision or the wrong decision, I have to sleep with it. And it sucks. And it sucks seeing it go down, and it sucks seeing it go down. And because of knowing how I got that money and where that money came from was a mortgage on a house, by the way. So it sucks. You know what I mean? It wasn't free money. It's money that costs money every single month, and but it's just part of. I look at it as part of business. It's a transaction that I made, and now I got to live with the consequences. Don't you agree with that? That's just.
If you don't, whatever money you choose to put in the stock market, that's the only way you can do this.
Right.
You've invested, and it will be what it will be. So my life advice, not financial advice, is don't invest money. Don't gamble money you can't afford to lose. Don't invest money you can't afford to lose. Some people might say that's the same thing, but that's...
Oh, no, I think it's the whales is top 1%. I think, Tom, didn't you look up the top 1% in Bitcoin? What was it? How many did you need to have?
I don't remember, but it was a very surprisingly
it's like 3
small
or 4
number.
Or 5.
I think we got everybody saying your purchase marks the bottom, George.
I don't know. I don't know if it is or isn't. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that there could be some more downside. I'm just saying that next week could be a very, very interesting week for the world. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying there's something going on that could be like one of those things that just wakes everybody up. and goes, what? How'd that happen? And there's just so many crazy things going on right now. I mean, we didn't even talk about FTX and Ukraine. I mean, that's insane to me. What in the world? Oh, we need to. What, you guys want to buy rockets, or you want to buy some tokens in FTX? Let's do the tokens. I mean, here is the United States is giving money to Ukraine to fight a war, and they're out buying FTX tokens. This is crazy to me. This is crazy. We're in Looney Tune town, okay?
That might have been a poor investment decision.
Yeah.
I'm trying to catch up with what everybody's writing.
Oh, and did you see what? Oh, it's okay. We don't need to. Did you hear this one? After bankruptcy.
You got to tell us what it is.
After bankruptcy, you can look this up. The Bahama government went in and took their money out of FTX. Because I guess it's a bankruptcy it's out. It's not in the United States. I guess they're saying it's down there. I don't know how true this is. You need to look it up. I'll make Tom look it up. Tom, look it up. Isn't that insane though?
Not verified.
I think they're taking Marathon for the loss, or they think they're going to go in and buy it. That's what I think.
Alex is saying, George, the 1 hour chart shows Bitcoin didn't put in a lower low on Monday. Put in a green day, I think is what he meant to say. I don't know what that was in response to, but that is from Alex to you, George.
What does, I guess this is Luke, BlackRock will NE a big one. Do you know what that means?
No.
Elaborate. Yeah, I know. I can't afford to lose anything. Well, I gotta run, guys. It was great talking to everybody this week. I hope you guys had fun. I had fun.
All right, George, thanks for joining us.
We'll see you guys later.
See you later. Enjoy your weekend. All right. That was George, everybody. Yeah, Luke, expand on what you mean with BlackRock, if you would. And let's see. Gary's saying, so George is selling the next bear market. Jay is saying, thanks, George. Looking at Riot as well. So, and Riot's, I mean, that's one of the ones that you guys know I like. For whatever that's worth. Martin's saying, I think this is in response to how many Bitcoin make up a whale is either 10 or 100. I can't remember. Crypto Golfer saying a Bitcoin whale is 1,000 plus Bitcoin. So that's would be a much smaller group. Michael's saying, why all the noise clears about the Fed and CNBC and then Jim Cramer says to stay away are reaching millions of viewers. Yeah, so we got to counter them with our... We got to counter the FUD with reality. Jay said, well said, Tom. Just invest what you can afford to lose. Thank you. Yes, I mean, that. I think that's the philosophy, and I hope, and I think most people go into it that way. Sometimes, you know, some people throw some good money after bad, unfortunately. Jeff said $2 billion was moved out of FTX ahead of the filing for bankruptcy through a backdoor in the site. So that's definitely funny business. We got a thanks, George, from Jay. JD said later, George. Mike Robinson said peace, George. Awakened Soul saying, Tom, what do you think about these miners? Bitfarms Hut being forced into a reverse stock split. So there's a long journey between now and a reverse stock splits. And it's not, I have been saying I don't think it's going to happen. I still don't think it's going to happen. I think we're in an unnaturally low place, in my opinion, right now. there's a long process before you're actually forced to do a reverse stock split. And technically you're never forced to do it. It's just if you want to stay listed on the NASDAQ, you've got to be over $1. And really, at some point, some companies are faced with the only way to do that is to do a reverse stock split. But I will tell you, Hive just did a reverse stock split in May, and everybody lost their mind and said they're the worst company ever, but their performance has been virtually identical to all the rest of the Bitcoin miners. So their reverse stock split did not affect their stock price in any way, shape, or form when you look at a 4-month window since they did it. So, if that ends up happening, and I really don't think it will, I think in the short term it's going to be a buying opportunity if it goes down. That's how I look at it. Now, obviously, I'm a Bitcoin bull, and those are some companies you named are some of the companies I like. So, I've been wrong before, and I'll be wrong again. Mike Robinson saying the miners are suffering from FTX fallout, and there's no doubt about that. All of this price action right now, Bitcoin 16,600, is all about FTX. This is and stuff like this happens. I mean, we're going to get more. This isn't the last shoe to drop, if you will. We're going to get more bad news, and we're going to have, in my opinion, that's why we took out the lows that I thought we weren't going to take out. But we did take them out, and it could happen again. And we don't know who the next big company is that's going to maybe give us some very bad news. Eric saying the hash rate has to go down. Yeah, I don't know I don't know. This imbalance between the increase in the hash rate and difficulty level and the decrease in the price of Bitcoin, this trend will come to an end because, I mean, that's just the math of it. The people are not going to mine Bitcoin forever losing money. So, I don't know. Hopefully that ends in both things happening. Although I think the Bitcoin network is going to continue to grow. There's just so many companies, even though a lot of the companies can't do nearly what they thought they were going to do or hoped they were going to do. There's still a lot of companies adding exahash. Most of the old machines, I think, are already off the network because they're just so unprofitable at this point. People aren't running them. So I expect the network I don't think it's going to shrink a lot, but I do think the price of Bitcoin will correct itself so that miners aren't losing money. That's what makes sense to me over time, but there's a lot of factors. Jay says, agree with Tom. Yes, it's psychological, but economically and financially meaningless for a reverse stock split to occur. Again, just a lot of FUD. So I agree with that. Gary Pallett says Hive and DigiHost both did reverse stock split. Both may do another one. Yeah, particularly DigiHost. So there's a tale of two different companies. Hive did a reverse stock split, and yes, they're way down at their lows, but they've acted pretty much according to the rest of them. DigiHost is now, they're much, much closer to having to do a reverse split again. So when you're on your second or third or fourth reverse stock split at some point, you got to look at you guys let me know. I already did my own deep dive on the recent financial statements for DigiHost. I did not do a video on it because I feel like nobody cares, but that's a real company. So if anybody cares, I'll do a video on it. And they had some very tough circumstances, but I think people would be surprised what's going on over at DigiHost. Mike's saying Mara is a great company. I'm holding shares for as long as possible. There has to be a reversal soon. I mean, that's the thing. It's all about right now. This is the oldest question in the book. Do you want to sell? I'm going to pick Bitfarms, for example. Do you really want to sell Bitfarms at 65 cents? I mean, maybe the answer is yes. Maybe you've taken enough pain that you just can't put your head on your pillow at night anymore, and you gotta sell your minor stocks because you just can't take it anymore. But usually in history, and you know, the past is not a guarantee of anything that's going to happen in the future, but in the past, when you have sold at the low, usually that's been a big mistake. So, you know, you don't know. And again, it depends on which Bitcoin miner, because some of these Bitcoin miners may very well go to zero. So, you know, if you sell them now, better to sell them at 50 cents than zero. So, you know, it cuts in both directions. So that's why you got to know your Bitcoin miner, because there's definitely different level of risk in all of these guys. Crypto Golfer said Bitfarms will get to $10 when they do a 1 to 15 reverse stock split. I think that's mathematically true if they did that right now, but I don't think I really don't think they're going to have to do a stock split. So Darren's saying, yes, do a digi video. So, okay. I mean, is anybody else interested in that? Because I may do that. If I get some people I know that are interested in, what I don't want to do, I don't like putting out videos that nobody cares about. Right? Like I did my due diligence, and if nobody else cares, then that's fine. Chris is saying, who do you think is going to zero? And so I can't say with any certainty, but I can tell you there's some companies that are in big trouble right now. And Core Scientific is one of them. They're a company that has told the world we've defaulted on our debt. I can tell you that GREE is a company that put right in their 10Q for September 30th that there's, you know, a chance their stock's going to go to zero. So that's what they say in their own quarterly report. So who am I to disagree with them? So there's a couple right there, and there's more. There's a lot of companies that are highly dependent on a couple of things. The companies that are dependent on, you know, the price of Bitcoin going up and or some sympathy and restructuring from the debt that they have, you know, the matter's out of their hands. For other companies, the matter is not out of their hands. It's their fate. They hold their fate in their own control, especially if they're vertically integrated and they're doing their own thing. You know, they don't have to. That takes a lot of the variables out, and that's what I mean by all. You know, there's 20 or 30 of these companies. They're all different. So, you know, there's different risks that go with each one. Jay says, agree with Tom, have been dollar cost averaging Bitfarms from $1.70 to now over the past 3 months, and I continue to dollar cost average into them from points much higher than that. And again, I'm looking at, you know, George said I'm not going to look at this for 3 years, and I, you know, we'll see. I hope he doesn't. That was supposed to be the philosophy, but I do invest that way. You know, unless something changes. Obviously, if there's a fundamental change in the company, you've got to update your due diligence and you know, decide accordingly. But to me, I don't think the story on Bitfarms has changed. I think it changed early in the year when they borrowed some money, they bought some Bitcoin. That was a bad decision. I think they have more than paid the price for that bad decision. I think they're just about out of the woods, and that's no guarantee. They still do have some debt, but they're just about out of the woods on all that, and I think they come out the other side a better company, hopefully. Chris the Dominator said, I bought a lot of HUT today. So I averaged into HUT this week. Hitting these numbers, I did not think we were going to see that. Awakened Soul is saying, the real question is, how the hell are these miners dropping so fast? Who's selling at all-time lows? That's a great question. I mean, is this short selling? Are they pushing these guys down to try to get them out of business? I don't know. I can't fathom. In my opinion, the weak-handed retail investors left this industry a long, long time ago. There's been a lot of pain here in the Bitcoin mining sector. So I just can't imagine you stuck through June and July and August and September and October and all of a sudden now you're selling. You're right. That's a good question. I don't know what the answer to that is. Mike saying Cleanspark deep dive would be good too. I'm going to do, when they put out their quarterly report, I'm going to do a Cleanspark deep dive. I like to get the latest and greatest. Everybody's starting to put out their September financials, so I will do, for all of the big companies, I will definitely do a deep dive. I've done a couple already, and I will do that for sure. So I try to do on everybody that puts out a monthly update, I try and go through it. And then, when the quarterly reports come out, I try and go through, because that's where a lot of information is in these 10 Qs. Let's see. Chris is saying, I worked for the Corps in Denton, Texas as an electrician. A lot of false promises. It was fun while it lasted. So there's somebody who directly worked with this situation. Yeah, I mean, they geared up and became gigantic, but they borrowed $1 billion. I mean, this Bitcoin 16,000 does not facilitate the principal and interest payments on borrowing $1 billion, unfortunately. Mike Robinson saying Marathon, Cleanspark, and Hut. I can't argue with that. Q, W-E-R-T-Y, call you Q. Hut, Bitfarms, Cleanspark, Riot. The rest is noise. I like all four of those, so I won't argue with that either. Stevie says DCA for the long term. Mara, Riot, and Hut will survive. So Riot and Hut are a common theme. Marathon is one of those stocks that people either think they're the best, so love them or hate them. I'm still up in the air. Marathon's the first Bitcoin mining stock I ever bought. So obviously I sold those shares a long time ago, but they have potential. If you watched my October update, I gave them full credit for the good month that they had in October, but now I'm worried about November. So we'll see. They do have a strong balance sheet, and people forget about the balance sheet side of this. So, they have a lot of debt, but it's convertible debt, and it's not due for a long time, and it's at 1% interest. The debt they have that concerns me deeply is the $100 million short-term debt that they borrowed that they've leveraged all their Bitcoin against. So that to me is something that I'm keeping an eye on. Awakened Soul is saying, exactly, there's no way in hell this is retail selling out. I mean, I agree. There's just not that much retail investors left in this space to cause this type of price action, in my opinion. So Jay's agreeing with QWERTY. I'm sure I'm pronouncing that wrong, so my apologies. This week's volume was really low, so this is from Darren. So prices did drop. It was on low volume. So yeah, on lower volumes, it's always easier to have an outsized move. Gary is saying Marathon selling off. Many other diluting shares. It's probably a lot of shares sold. Cleanspark, Riot, and Hut, big dilution. So, I mean, I looked at the dilution of a lot of these companies, and for Riot, they did some dilution, but for the most part, across the board, so far, for the companies that have reported their third quarter, they used their at the market somewhere between 3% and 5% dilution of their company is what they did with their at the market offering. So I think everybody, and there may be somebody that did more than that I haven't seen, but so far everyone I've looked at has been in that range. So I think that, obviously these guys don't want to sell their stock at their all-time low either, but they're forced to use some of their at the market offering to pay the bills, and they're doing it. Awakened Soul saying, do you think this is a buying opportunity with Marathon? I mean, I'm so conflicted on Marathon. And because I think Riot has such a stronger balance sheet, I have leaned towards Riot, but that doesn't mean they're going to be a better investment at the end of the day. I know there's a lot of people that passionately believe that Marathon is going to get to the other end of this. Ultimately, they had a massive amount of bumps in the road, but they also took on a bigger challenge than anybody else. They want to get to 23 exahash, and if on December 31st, 2023, they're at 23 exahash and they're minting money, then I guess probably then they won. So Martin is saying, what happened with the Iris Energy loan? So that is still up in the air, but that's a great question. I want to take a minute to explain that because there's an important difference. What Iris Energy did, I don't know how they did this. I mean, they got some unbelievably good terms. And I will tell you, in contrast, unfortunately, Greenidge got some bad terms. The money that Greenidge borrowed, and I will get right back to Iris because these tie together. The money that Greenidge borrowed is it's recourse. So it's not just collateralized by the machines they bought. The bank has recourse to go after all the rest of the company's assets. So that's a dangerous loan. So what Iris Energy did was create, I'm going to call them subsidiary companies, affiliates, whatever you want to call them. Those companies borrowed money, and the only recourse the bank has is the collateral on the machines. So none of these loans trace back. There's no liability to Iris Energy themselves for these loans. Their downside is that the bank calls the loans, they fail to pay them, and the bank takes the machines back as collateral. So that is an incredibly better situation to be in because all the rest of their assets are not at risk. They're not affected by these loans. So to a certain extent, in that situation, in my opinion, you've got Gree, who's kind of got their lender, in my opinion, a little bit over a barrel. I mean, that lender is far better off to work with Gree, Iris, and figure out a way to restructure that debt so that it all works out and it gets paid over time than they are to, take back all the Bitcoin mining machines and be holding a bunch of machines. Because I got to tell you, the market for Bitcoin mining machines, as you guys probably know, is not good right now. There's people that can't give them away. So I don't think the bank wants to collect on the collateral. So I think Iris, and this is just total speculation on my part, I think Iris is likely to find a way to restructure that debt with the bank because it's a losing proposition. And I say bank, the lending institution that lent them the money. Down too far to sell now. I'm holding to 0 or the promise. Yeah, I mean, I won't hold to 0. If something changes with one of my companies, I'll sell even if it's at a gigantic loss. If it is clear that there's been a fundamental change in the company. But for me, some of these companies have come out, Core Scientific's a great example. There's a fundamental change in their company. They came out and let everybody know, hey, we just defaulted on our loans. That's a fundamental change in your business. So, for companies like that, you gotta at least reconsider. You may still hold. You may even dollar cost average in and double down on it. But in my opinion, you gotta at least reflect at that point, absorb that new knowledge and redo your due diligence and decide, okay, what do I do now with that company? Sorry, I fell way behind on the chat. Mike Robinson said, hot 8 to the moon. Jay is saying, no way they will get to 23 exahash. Just vapor. So, yeah, I mean, that's the other side of the argument is they have been way behind their schedule. So they were a company that was not doing what they said they were going to do for most of the year. I got encouraged, but I did say I'm going to need to see a few months in a row October, they started to do what they say they were going to do. They got up to 7 exahash in October. They added 3+ exahash just in the month of October. So that to me looked like they were taking steps forward and they were on the right track. There's a lot going on with Marathon. That's why I'm going to do another video. Once I got through reading their 10Q, there's a lot of new information in there. So I feel like, you know, I want to talk about that in a video and go through it in detail because they got a complicated situation going on. And I don't know if they're going to get to 23 exahash. The thing is, they've paid for a lot of those machines. It's not like there's massive quantities of money left to pay for those machines. Their problem is they are not vertically integrated. They are asset light is their term they like to say, which means they don't have access to power and hosting, and they've got to rely on others. And unfortunately, their partners continue, you know, Compute North just went bankrupt. They just had to do a big write-down for deposits that they gave them that they're not coming back. So theirs is a more, the less you do yourself, the more complicated your business is. And on top of all that, not only that, but Marathon wants to be the biggest out of everybody, so they're going to do more of all of this. So they are relying on a lot of moving pieces and parts and different companies. And, you know, and then there's the price of energy. Bam, you know, that's a whole nother. Mike Robinson's saying Mara to the moon. So, I mean, that could be. Like I said, I'm super conflicted on this, and that's why I want to do another video on it. I personally am totally undecided as to whether or not Marathon is going to end up the winner in this. I have other ones that I'm much more convinced are going to get to the other side of crypto winner, but that doesn't mean there's as much upside, so that's the risk-reward part of this equation. You know, just because they're going to make it, well, what if you could make 3 times as much money in a different company? So I try to balance that by keeping a diverse portfolio because I have a bunch of my money. I have a disproportionate amount in the Bitcoin miners. So I try to stay diversified, at least amongst the miners, you know, so I've got some diversity because to an extent, you know, it's all really, all of that's really contingent on Bitcoin. So let's see, Bitfarms to the moon. They're clearing their debt and not diluting. So that's from Bitfarms, holder for having. So they are clearing their debt. Every month they chip away at their debt, and that's what I like about them. Yeah, we would all like them to be able to go back in time and not borrow money and buy Bitcoin at $40,000. That did not work out well for them, but what's done has long since done, and they seem to be solving the problem. So I do like what they're doing, but I understand a lot of people have hesitancy that, you know, one of the main things about investing in a company is having confidence in their management. So if you've lost confidence in management as a result of that, that's a hard thing to recover from. For me, I think that, you know, stuff happens, and this is a volatile asset. They took a risk. It was a calculated risk. It did have downside. They're feeling the downside of it right now, but I think they're going to be okay. Mike Robinson said Bitfarms looks good. Martin is asking CleanSpark interview. So I got to get a hold of them. We had somebody on the live stream from CleanSpark. And then he apparently had to get a hold of, you know, I invited him on the show or whoever, but all of that's got to go through Isaac, who has been on the show before, because, you know, that's his domain. So he sent a message out to Isaac. Isaac did reach out to me and, you know, say, let's do something. So I got to get back to him. I'd like to talk to Isaac and Matt, I think is who I'd like to talk to there. So hopefully I will circle around and get a CleanSpark interview sometime in the next month as well. I like it to be after they put out their quarterly report rather than before, because then I've got some real ammo to talk to them about. But, you know, whenever they're willing to come on, we always love having CleanSpark on the channel. And Isaac has been a great guest in the past. When are you having Big Sue back? So Big Sue, I'm calling her Big Sue now. Sue got back to me, and she has some availability like in the second week of December. So we're just going to set something up at that time. So it's going to be a few more weeks before we get to hear from Sue. But she's always been a great guest as well, always very forthcoming and informative. So hopefully, you know, we had to wait a little while longer than I expected, but that should be a good interview. Jay said, agree with Tom 100% on Mara. Enough said. Thank you. I think, and then something, a happy Imogo. I think Marathon on track for 500 to be mined in November. Yeah, and I think that's right. They could beat 500. They could be anywhere from 425 to 650, depending on how the second half of the month goes. So, but my issue was the first half of the month was not good. They were tracking more towards 450. Now they seem to be getting a little bit healthier. But all of that, they really should have put all of that in the dust because they have a much more machines. Their average daily hash rate in November should have been much, much higher than their average daily hash rate in October, because 100% of the machines they put online in October, those came on at various times. Those were all online for all of November. So I was looking for 700 or 750, and I just don't think there's any chance now of them getting to that in November. Not the end of the world. So, you know, if they come in at 500 or 550 and they give an explanation as to what's going on, and then I'm still going to remain kind of on the fence. I'm waiting to see what happens with them. Mike Robinson said Dark Side of the Moon, which I think, yeah, I got my Dark Side of the Moon album up. That's one of the staples. That one stays on the board. Colton's asking any non-Bitcoin stocks that you have your eye on. I mean, yeah, I got my list of non-Bitcoin stocks. They're all mostly small cap, high growth stocks as well. I do have a few. I did members only Coinbase. So that's kind of still, I guess, in the crypto world. And the members voted and said I should just put that out to everybody. So I'm going to try to get that video out to everybody this weekend, maybe. I like Coinbase. I think they're positioned very well right now. They've been sold off. They're having the same experience that Bitcoin is having. They're being sold off as just kind of a casualty of the FTX situation, but they're collateral damage more than anything else. They actually stand to gain from this situation, in my opinion, over the course of time. So I also I'll just throw out a few that nobody's going to like at all, but I think Paramount Pictures, I've been waiting, but I think Paramount Pictures is I think they're going to double, in a 1 or 2 year window of time. So that's not my normal stock. It's a little bigger. That's the old Viacom, CBS. So they have a massive amount of intellectual property. I like that stock a lot. I'm not going to do any more videos on them. I did a couple of videos. Nobody cares about them, and nobody watched those videos, so that's fine. But I still have my eye on them. I will also tell you, Beam, stock ticker BEEM, has been on fire. So I've been holding that one and averaging in for a long time. I feel like we finally are starting to get some momentum on Beam. So and in my opinion, this is just the start. So that's one I like a lot as well. Not financial advice. You guys, a lot of you are probably familiar with Beam, whether it's from my videos or just your own watching the market. They had a great quarter. They had a great 10Q. To me, in my mind, everything is going well for them, and that's why they're having I'm going to go to their chart. Does anybody care about Beam, or is it just me? Am I the only Beam here? So they were down a little bit today, but you can see I mean, look what these guys just did. This was October 24th. So I'll go to the close of today. They're up 91%. They were up as much as 107% yesterday. So they've almost doubled in the last, you know, just short of a month. And that's a good run. But then you'll see on the chart, that just gets them right back to where they've been several times. They've been at this $18 range before. This, to me, should be the low end of their range. These points down here were totally ridiculous in my opinion. And so they were buying opportunities as far as I'm concerned. But I don't know. You guys let me know what you think of Beam. Beam is a funny one because their company is spelled B-E-A-M. It's Beam Global, B-E-A-M. But that stock ticker was already taken, so their stock ticker is B-E-E-M. So don't get those two confused. Jay saying, can you arrange a Riot tour? The tour that I'm trying to arrange is I've been invited to, and I just have not coordinated this, and I've kind of missed a few opportunities, is to Cleanspark's facilities. So I'm still hoping to do that. They offered me that 6 months ago. We put one thing on the books, it fell through, and then I never circled back around, so that's my fault. So I would like to do that. I guess for Riot, I would have to go out to Texas. I think pretty much that's their hub now for everything they do. Mike Robinson saying a coin video would be interesting. So I'll get that coin. I already did the video for members only, so I will get it out to everybody. And that was an interesting one for me because I had always kept my eye on coin, but I had never done a full-blown deep dive on them. So I learned a lot on that one. So we'll see. Awkward Soul says, I'm also a Paramount. All right. So we got somebody with me on that one. I like what they're doing. Colton says Paramount because of the Beavis and Butthead reboot. Exactly. That's going to dominate. No, Paramount, if you look at what they're doing, they have found a way. I think they've found a way to segue from their legacy media pieces, which obviously, you know, CBS was the core of that whole Viacom situation. But they have, you know, over a dozen high-profile television channels. But beyond that, if you look at what their motion picture division is doing and their online streaming division, and those two are going to work hand in hand, in my opinion. They have made unbelievable strides. This is the best year. While the movies have struggled and suffered and, you know, had the two worst years ever, Paramount this year had the best year they've had in 1 or 2 decades in theaters. And it's not just Top Gun. Yes, that was a big deal, but they had 5 or 6 or 7 hits this year. They've already got another at least 5 on the books for next year. All of that feeds into their streaming service. I did buy their streaming service, and I think it's great. I get a lot. I find myself watching a lot of Paramount. So they have a lot of content. You know, I'm not telling you to buy their streaming service. I'm just telling you I did, and I watch it a lot. And they own a lot of intellectual property. They, you know, they have all the Star Trek universe. They have all the Transformer universe. They have the G.I. Joe universe. They just have a lot of, they've got a lot going, and their streaming service has picked up massively. So I think streaming's the future. Yeah, they're still going to have revenue. So what a lot of people do is look at Paramount and they go, well, you know, they're only growing 3% year over year. But what you have to look at is what are the growth parts of their business. And if their streaming service is growing 40% or 50%, right, they added, I can't remember, but it was millions and millions of users this last quarter. I think it was 4 million users. Don't quote me on that. But, you know, that's a huge uptick in users. And they have another streaming service on top of Paramount. So they're in the streaming business heavy. So, all right, that's enough Paramount. Probably you guys have heard enough. Mike said Beavis and Butthead are cool. My tech support does a good Beavis and Butthead. Awakened Soul, I like Beam, but under $10. I know there was a buying opportunity there, and I bought a bunch above 10, but I did take my opportunity to kind of double down when it got down around 10, and it did get under 10. Awakened Soul said, I also like Warner Brothers Discovery, so I'm just now doing my deep dive on them. So that's interesting you bring that up. Maybe I could do a video on the two of those together. Maybe that would be enough interest for people to watch. I don't know. I don't know how much interest there is out there, but that did grab my attention, and I have been looking into them, and they definitely look interesting. Robert Anderson is saying, plus Paramount has Champions League. Colton's got a bounce. Thanks. Have a great weekend. All right. Jay is saying, I'm in WBD, and both WBD and Paramount are good bets given that they are both beaten down. So that's how I'm looking at it. I mean, they really got beaten down hard. I mean, I know the whole market's way down in a lot of ways. There's a lot of stocks down 50, 60, 70%. Obviously, the ones we talk about on this channel are down, 90, 95%. But I do think those are opportunities. I agree with you. Okay, Michael Anthony is saying Beam will follow TAN down unless oil rebounds next week. So I don't know. I want to do. I'm itching to do a Beam video. Their quarterly report was a home run. My only issue is really nobody else. I seem to be the only one who cares. So, but I might do it anyway because I like that company and they're killing it. In my opinion, that's my opinion. Awake Soul saying thoughts on Fubo. So I'm worried about Fubo. I love their business. I love their business model. I think they're, growing fast. My issue with them is, are they in the wrong place at the wrong time because this market is so tight and cash is so hard to come by, right? Capital has just dried up and Fubo is going to need capital. So that's my only concern with them. I like that company a lot. I'm surprised they got beaten down to where they got beaten down to, and I hope they make it. I did trade them at one point, not in them right now, and I don't have Fubo, but I see what they're doing, and it seems like it's a great business model to me. Sourmelon Gaming, in your opinion, do you see a minor comeback in 2023, or do you think will stay stagnant? So I do not think we're going to be stagnant for 2023. No, I think we have had a severe bear market. I can't tell you what day it's going to end, but I do think there's a run ahead. So, even George bought back in. Let's put it that way. So you never know. We've had long crypto winter / bear markets, but I just think there's two. Bitcoin's a different thing than it was in the previous cycles. It's much more mature asset. And so Bitcoin in particular, I'm not even saying the whole cryptocurrency world, but Bitcoin in particular has matured a lot, and a bunch of things are going to happen that are going to help that trend to continue. So in my opinion, 2023 is going to be a good year for Bitcoin miners. So that is my personal opinion. But I didn't see this year coming. I'll tell you that. This lasted a lot longer. This was more pain than I thought they were going to bring. So Jeff is saying a Bitcoin difficulty adjustment 2 days away. Looks like it could be 15% decrease or so. Wow, that would be nice because we had a series of gigantic increases, and I haven't looked in a week. It didn't look like that a week ago, so it must have gotten a lot better. So that would be really good news. Chris Dominator saying Hut is doing the Wyckoff accumulation on the chart. So Michael Anthony saying TAN was down and most solar stocks follow TAN, which is solar ETF. And it's interesting to me because it's funny. You're right. I think of them as an EV play, but they're a solar. They are also solar. So, you know, they have combined two things in a way that they're the only ones who have done it. They have a very unique product. It should be in monumental demand, in my opinion. I think there's going to be a point in time at which that product just reached critical mass, and a lot of government contracts from them already, a lot more coming, in my opinion. They're an off-the-grid charging station. So they have, he's saying, you know, Chris is saying, or I'm sorry, Michael was saying that this goes along with TAN because it's the solar ETF, and they do use solar panels. That's where they get their energy. But it's also an EV play. So, and the EV has been pounded on as well. So, you know, those are EV, anything electric vehicle related has been a tough place to be. But I do think Beam is finally starting to see its breakout. And, you know, it's got a couple of different stories. So you're right. It follows along with both the solar and the electric charging. And it's not competition for the other electric charging stations. This is 100% off the grid. It's in addition to, it's supplemental to whatever infrastructure is put in for EV charging stations. So I think there's a demand for that. I think it will do well, in my opinion. What's the first upside catalyst for Bitcoin, says QWERTY. Pardon my incorrect pronunciation. The first catalyst could be, the first thing is we have about 3 or 4 weeks in between this Fed meeting. And if no, you know, this FTX thing was bad timing because I felt like this was when we were going to have our run, and then bang, FTX does their thing and it ruins that. But it looks to me like the market is, if we get 50 basis points from the Fed in December, and the market's actually backing off of that. There was 85% priced in. So it was 85% thinking 50 basis points and 15% thinking 75 basis points. That 85% has gone down to 75%. So based on a few things that some of the Fed members said, the market's lost a little bit of that confidence. If we get 50 basis points, I think the market will have a nice, even if it's a rebound rally, I think the market and certainly Bitcoin could have a really nice run off of that. So that's a short-term thing. And, you know, it's more of a relief rally than it is necessarily a catalyst for, you know, re-entering the bull market. We need to see some bigger things happen there. We need to see some round one of regulations on the crypto exchanges. The crypto exchange contagion, the fear of crypto exchanges is a big problem right now. So they got to do something about that. Mike's saying the bull market could start any day now. I hope you're right. Gorilla is saying my portfolio's down 90% the day I break even. I'm selling and just doing S&P 500 ETFs for a while, I think. I mean, I hope you get back to break even. I hope you get past break even. It depends if you're in the small cap high growth. I mean, I know it feels awful to be down 90%, but almost every stock on all of my watch lists is down at least 90%. So, you know, you're not alone, I guess is all I would say. That's probably no consolation, but an incredible hundreds and hundreds of stocks just that I watch are down 90% or more. Some of these Bitcoin mining stocks and some of the EV stocks are down in the 98 to 99% range at this point. I mean, this has been one of the toughest markets of all time. So for everybody that has not done so well, you know, you're not alone. And, you know, I know that's no consolation, but this was a tough one. Jay's saying, agree, first sign is a hint of a pivot by the Fed. Yeah, I mean, let's face it. 2022, the entire stock market traded off of the Fed. That's been what's going on. And we look at the CPI reports and all that stuff, but all of that really is just try to gauge what's the Fed going to do, the stock market and cryptocurrency have been, by and large, a byproduct of the Fed's aggressive stance this year. And it's somewhat unprecedented. We just did 475 basis point hikes in a row. And now, we started from practically zero. So I understand, there was a long way to go up. But this was massive pressure. And at the same time, they stopped with quantitative easing. Instead of pouring money into the market, they were reducing their balance sheets. So, that's a lot of downward pressure on the market. Mike Robinson says, Christmas rally, maybe. That's what I was hoping, and that's what I'm still hoping. So I think Bitcoin could straighten itself out for a nice little relief rally starting this weekend. That is my hope. I remain hopeful on that. I'm not asking for a bull run to 70,000. I'm asking for a relief rally to 25,000. That's what I want for Christmas. Let's see. Can all this please... So Darren's saying, can all this please stay sideways for 3 weeks? So I take it you're coming into some money you can put in the market 3 weeks from now. So you want everything to stay sideways. Well, if history's any indicator, that's probably what's going to happen. I'm hoping for a relief rally, but sideways or down is every bit as likely. Benny's saying, if you have cash, it's the best time ever. If you can buy solid from now until 2024, you will make a crazy amount of money by 2030. And I think that's true. This is a bear market, but inside of this bear market, the small cap high growth stocks are in a full-blown depression, the likes of which I believe they've never seen. This is even worse. I think if you look statistically, this is worse than the dot-com bubble for the small cap high growth stuff. So it's at least on that par with that. So, this is a once in a generation type of a bear market. So yeah, if you can pick the winners out of this right now, everything is getting taken out. So if you can find the winners, this is the way wealth is accumulated over time. So it's time and patience and doing your due diligence. But I agree, Benny. This is, that's the way you got to look at it. And it's hard because I know a lot of everybody's down a lot of money. A little money or a lot of money, whatever it is, that's no fun. Aha, we got Crypto Golfer saying, at this point, I'm hoping everything stays down until after January 1st when I can add to my Roth IRA. Well, yep, I mean, that's exactly right. And a lot of people are going to do their... there's an awful lot of people that probably have losses that they can take right now. So I don't know that they had any gains that they need to offset them with is the only problem. So we may not get this end of the year cashing in on your losses to offset your gains. Yes, so Jay is saying, yes, there will be 1 or 2, maybe 3 winners, and the rest will be a distant memory in 5 years. So, yeah, I don't know if Jay, if you're talking about the Bitcoin miners in specific, but there's certainly not going to be 28 of them. Right, this got out of control. The Bitcoin miners started to pop out of the woodwork. And if you look at how a lot of them are doing, the handwriting's already on the wall for many of these. Mike Robinson, the Roaring 20s, just as long as they don't end like the last Roaring 20s did. Sourmelon Gaming, it confuses me why anyone would sell at these prices, but I guess some people struggle with this level of pain. I mean, I think that's a part of it. I think short selling's a part of it. I mean, some people just have that. It's the, this is their last desperate hopes were, dashed with whatever downward pressure, and you just get to that point. Gary's saying, haven't lost any miners yet. Close, but none yet. And that's true. That's true. There's a lot of them that are struggling. There's a lot of them that are stock. There's there's a handful now whose stocks are down 99%. But the fact is they're not out of business. It's not over for them. And they're looking to find a way to retool and restructure and, you know, come out the other end a company that survives. So for the stockholders, I think there's already 4 or 5 companies where the stockholders may never get their money back, but the companies themselves may not necessarily go out of business. But most of them are not going to do the grandiose plans that they had rolled out in 2021. I mean, the worldwide hash rate would be at 500 exahash by now had everybody done what they said they were going to do, and obviously we're nowhere in that neighborhood, and that's a minor exaggeration, but not much. All right, I got to wrap it up. I've gone long, so thank you very much, everybody. We ended up with 53 likes. I appreciate it. Thanks so much. Thank you to all of the members in specific for being members. I appreciate it. Anybody, you can hit the join button on YouTube and be a member if you like. There's some extra content. If not, I appreciate you being a subscriber. Especially, I appreciate everybody that comes onto the live stream. We really have a great live stream, and I know there's a lot of you that are consistent here, and it makes for a great live stream. So I thank you, everybody, very much. As well as, I will tell you, the views have been up on the channel, so I want to thank everybody for that, too. The nasty comments have been up a little bit, but that's not you guys. But the views have been up, and things are moving in the right direction. So let's hope that means that the retail investor is re-engaging. You know, that's how I look at it. If my views go up, that means retail investors may be circling back around and starting to re-engage. And so that's knock on wood. Let's hope that happens. Everybody have a great weekend, and thank you all again very much. So I will see you. I will definitely be doing some videos over the weekend, so I'll see you then.